What's up, everybody? Nick Dwyer, back for the 10th inning, here with another episode of This Day in Sports History. In yesterday's episode, we saw Hank Aaron become the all-time extra base hit leader in the MLB. We don't have anything quite like that today, but we do have a player getting their 3,000th hit, as well as some more Olympic Games to talk about, and some U.S. National Championships to get into. This Day in Sports History. And we will start with that 3,000th hit early today in 1921. Ty Cobb would become the fourth player after Cap Anson, Honus Wagner, and Napoleon Lajoie to record his 3,000th hit after a single off of Elmer Myers in the first inning of the second game of a doubleheader. And Cobb would actually play the least amount of games to record his 3,000th hit in 2,135 games, something that will most likely never be broken. Move up to the U.S. National Championships 1 year later in 1922, Mola Mallory would defeat Helen Wills Moody 6-3, 6-1 to claim her 7th U.S. singles title and her 7th of 8 Grand Slam singles titles. Remain at the U.S. National Championships 10 years later on the women's side in 1932, Helen Jacobs would defeat Carolyn Babcock Stark 6-2, 6-2 in straight sets to win her first of 4 straight U.S. single titles and her first of 5 Grand Slam single titles. Back to Major League Baseball in 1951, and this would be the Eddie Goodell game. Bill Veeck would send Goodell, a 3'7" little person, to pinch hit in the first inning, and while Goodell would have no official at-bat, he would have 1 walk in his career, making his on-base percentage the best you can possibly do, 1,000. 11 years later, we moved back to golf in 1962, and Homer Blancos would play the finest round in amateur or professional golf in recorded history after shooting a 55 in a college tournament. Back to Major League Baseball in 1965, Cincinnati Reds pitcher Jim Maloney would throw his second no-hitter in a 1-0 victory over the Chicago Cubs, and Maloney on the day 10 innings pitched, 10 walks allowed, 12 strikeouts in the victory. We have another no-hitter now. This time it's the Cubs pitcher throwing a no-hitter in 1969. Ken Holtzman would no-hit the Braves in a 3-0 victory to throw the first of his 2 no-hitters, 9 innings pitched, 3 walks on the day in the victory. Move back to golf in 1984 at the PGA Championship. Lee Trevino at 15 under would win his second PGA Championship by 4 strokes ahead of Gary Player and Lanny Watkins to win his 6th and final major. 9 years later, we moved to team golf in 1993, and at the 34th edition of the Walker Cup, the U.S. would just dominate the British Isles and win 19-5, claiming their 30th of 37 overall victories. Remain in 93, and we have a world record in the women's 400-meter hurdles when Sally Gunnell would run it in 52.74 seconds, and this would be a record that would stand for the next 2 years. 2 years later, we move to boxing, and we have 2 separate events in 1995. First, Bruce Seldon would win via technical knockout over Joe Hipp in 10 rounds to retain the heavyweight boxing title. Then we have Mike Tyson making his return to the ring, wins via disqualification over Peter McNeely after McNeely's manager entered the ring only 89 seconds into the fight, causing the disqualification. 6 years later, we start with some golf at the PGA Championship in 2001. David Toms at 15 under would win his only major title, 1 stroke ahead of runner-up Phil Mickelson. Then at the Canadian Open on the women's side, Annika Sorenstam at 16 under would win 2 strokes ahead of runner-up Kelly Robbins. Then we move to the F1 World Drivers' Championship in 2001, and Michael Schumacher would win the Hungarian Grand Prix to clinch his 4th of 7 overall F1 World Drivers' Championships, at that time tied for the most of all time. Now let's get into the Athens Olympics in 2004, and we will start with U.S. gymnast Carly Patterson becoming only the second American woman to win the all-around gold medal and the first to win at a non-boycotted Olympics. Then in swimming, we'll start with American Michael Phelps after he would wrap up the 200-400 meter individual medley double when he would win the 200 in an Olympic record 1 minute 57.14 seconds ahead of teammate Ryan Lochte. Then in the 200 meter backstroke on the men's side, American Aaron Pearsall would win an Olympic record 1 minute 54.95 seconds, giving him the 100-200 meter double. Finally, on the women's side, Australian Jodie Henry in the 100 meter freestyle at 53.84 seconds would win the gold medal. 3 years later, we start with the Canadian Open on the women's side in 2007, and Lorena Ochoa at 16 under would win 3 strokes ahead of runner-up Paula Creamer. Staying in golf in 2007, at the Tradition Senior Men's Golf Tournament, Mark McNulty at 16 under would win his only career senior major title 5 strokes ahead of runner-up David Edwards. We talked about the Athens Olympics, now let's get into the Beijing Olympics in 2008. We start off in track cycling, and in the sprint event, Chris Hoy of Great Britain would earn gold, besting his teammate Jason Kenny, who would win silver. Then in the women's cycling sprint final, Great Britain's Victoria Pendleton would claim the gold, and Great Britain overall would just dominate this track, winning 7 of 10 gold medals. Move over now to the track side at those Olympics, and reigning world champion Christine Ohuruogu of Great Britain would win the 400 meter in 49.62 seconds, giving Great Britain their 50th gold medal in Olympic track and field competition. From Beijing to Rio de Janeiro, we stick with the Olympics in 2016, and we will start with Tajikistan's Dilshad Nazarov winning the hammer throw with 78.68 meters, becoming the first gold medalist from Tajikistan in Olympic history. Then in the women's 5,000 meter, Kenya's Vivian Cheruiyot would run an Olympic record 14 minutes 26.17 seconds. Move over to the equestrian individual jumping competition, and there would be a 6-way tie for first place, so there would end up being a gold medal jump off. And Nick Skelton of Great Britain would win that jump off, claiming the gold. We stick with Great Britain, and in the women's field hockey gold medal game, Great Britain would upset the Netherlands. After drawing 3-3 in regulation time, they would end up winning the shootout 2-0 to claim their first title. From women's field hockey to women's football, and Germany would end up defeating Sweden 2-1 to claim their first Olympic gold medal. Move over to the women's modern pentathlon now, and Chloe Esposito of Australia would set an Olympic record overall score of 1,372 points. Finally in those games, in the women's water polo gold medal match, the USA team would just dominate Italy, winning 12-5 to win the gold medal and winning their second straight gold medal in women's water polo. We end today's video off in 2018. In tennis, Novak Djokovic would end up defeating Roger Federer 6-4, 6-4 in the final of the Cincinnati Masters to become the first player to win all 9 Masters 1000 tournaments since the series started in 1990. So there you have it. That's what happened on this day in sports history. If I left anything out, I do apologize, but I'll see everybody tomorrow for Nick Dwyer in the 10th inning. See ya.